How are we going, everyone? As I mentioned a couple of days ago or so, I'm going to build garden beds here, raised garden beds, 400 high, 40 centimetres. Now, I normally like to use recycled and clean timber. I didn't find any, and because of the lockdown, I can't get out too far to search for it, so I've resorted to the treated pine. It's not my favourite. I am going to use it, and I know over time it's going to break down and whatever toxins I put in it will leach away on it. But my little bit of research that I did on it, they're not using the same level of toxicity to treat the pine as they used to in the past, so it's meant to be a lot safer. We don't know because we don't do it ourselves, we just take their word for it. So back to the topic, garden bed. This area here is infested with weeds. We've got couch grass, we've got cape weed growing in here, we've got winter grass in here, all sorts of things, and I've started to sift through it, and normally, and I've said it in the past, I don't put plastic down as a liner to protect it, to separate the ground from the garden bed, the raised garden bed. But in this case here, I've got no choice really, because there's so much couch in this area that it's, here, look, these are the pieces that I'm talking about that are in the garden bed, and I've been digging by hand to pull out the couch. Look, it's just everywhere. It's in here, and if I don't do it, because I'm only gonna lift the bed up 40 centimetres high, to make a raised garden bed, I'm gonna have Jack, get out. Come on, get out of there. I'm gonna have some major issues. So the couch will grow through, and anybody who's got couch in their garden will know distance isn't a limit or an issue. It's all about able to control it and separate it so you can create a barrier if you like. So when I put the walls up, I can either put a barrier on the outside, which is a bit of an effort because I need to get something deep into the soil, and the couch will go underneath it if I don't go deep enough. As you can see over there, I've got my trenches. The couch actually grows down the wall, across, and can grow back up again. So there I've got to pull it out by hand. Here, I'm going to lay some plastic down. That's right. I'm going to lay it down across past the walls so that I don't have it growing through. So now all we're going to do is keep digging this over, add a layer of mulch underneath, and start building the walls and put the plastic down. I've got some parsley here, triple curled parsley, and irrigation I've got to deal with as well. Now it's running from our garden bed across here, across to the espaliered fence, which we're going to pull down as well and leave the trees there. But I've got to take this parsley out, and the irrigation, I'm just going to take it off from the other end there and run it up the wall and back over the top of the surface, not underneath because it's pointless down below. And with the parsley, when you're digging up any sort of plant, folks, always use a garden fork. Don't use your shovel because you want to save the roots. Now, I'm going to try and get underneath all this. Here we are, and avoid the irrigation. Gentle. And lift. There we are. Easy. I'm going to replant this probably in the garden bed. I don't know, maybe here, somewhere else. I don't know. We'll see how we go. I don't even know what I'm going to plant in this yet. All right, this is my underlay, folks. It's concrete, actually concrete underlay, black polyurethane plastic. Had some leftover for a bit of concrete I did earlier in the season. Now, the size of the bed is 3 metres by 1.5, so I'm using 3 metre sleepers, cutting the two ends in half to create my end walls. And I need 3 metres, but because I'm going to run this past the walls, the boundary walls, I need it to be longer than 3 metres. So that's 3 metres there. I need at least 3.1, 3.2, and I can trim it off later on. So we'll go about there. And the plastic is folded in half here. So that's 1 metre, so it's a 2 metre wide bit of plastic that I got. So there's plenty there. Just measure that again. And remember, always measure twice and cut once. And you know what? I was just given a great idea. Mound it up a little bit in the middle, so when I lay the plastic, we've got a bit of runoff, a bit of a grade draining out to the sides. So, because the biggest concern I have is water being stagnant, sitting at the bottom of the planter box. And we're not building a wicking bed here, we're actually building a proper raised garden bed and just trying to control the weeds from growing through. Because once they get in there, there's no way getting them out unless you pull it all apart. It doesn't have to be perfect. In my irrigation, just sit it on top of the plastic like that, and the sleeper will sit on top of the pipe, make sure it doesn't kink it, and we'll be right. All right, sleepers. Come on. I didn't even put a level on it before. It's already level. That's the Greek measurements, mate. A little bit high. And now I'm putting a couple of little short uprights here just to hold it all together because the two layers are separate still. And that way it won't move around. Well folks, there's the framework done for you. 2 rows, 40 centimetres high. If you want it high, you can build it up to 60. You know, you don't need that much soil inside for 60 centimetres, so you need to put something at the bottom, like rock or something, but soil's at the end of the day the best way to go. But what I'm gonna also add at the bottom here, this is what you should do at home as well if you're building one, is put a nice thick layer of straw. Now I'm putting pea straw, 1 complete bale of pea straw at the base here, just in case the moisture doesn't travel easily to escape. At least the pea straw is there and it'll help break down and help build the microbial activity that we need in this garden bed to come to life. Got to raise the irrigation before we do that. Let's go and get a bale. Try and spread the pea straw out as evenly as possible because it makes a beautiful bedding for all those wonderful microbes that we want to activate, because we're going to put a layer of chicken manure on top of this in our black grit before we top it up with composted soil. Yeah, I put it at the bottom, folks, because I want to get the microbes active and get the roots to grow down to get where all the good stuff is. Because if I leave it on top, the roots don't grow down. They stay on top and they become weak. This is composted topsoil or garden mix with mushroom and a little bit of manure in it. And that's all you really need. As long as you add your straw at the bottom and on top, the organic matter, it all comes to life. And this is the black grit we add into our soil to balance the nutrients, to stop your plants from burning up in case you've over-fertilized with too much manure or too fresh of a manure or compost. And now we just put our composted soil on top. Folks, it's about 1.5 meters of soil in here, 1.5 cubic meters. These little lumps here, that's just compost. Just got to break it down, move it around a bit. So level it off, but don't compact the soil because you want it to be nice and loose and it can drain and absorb the moisture and everything. Now I've got some fittings here, which I'm going to install in irrigation. Now it's 1.5 meters wide, so I'm going to do 5 rows, about 30 centimeters apart for the planting. And if I want to put something more like spring onions, well, I can put another row in between the irrigation itself. And we're going to put mulch on top of it as well and then plant it. So I've got my inlet and I've got an outlet on this side, but I've got to do another outlet on there, which means the water flows in, flows back out, goes along to this fence line. And what I'm going to put here are 5 rows. So I've got a T section that's going to go smack in the middle like that there. Then I'm going to have another one in between this end pit here, which is the elbow, another one about there, and 1 elbow on the end, just over here somewhere. So space them out evenly. You can use the tape measure if you like, but if you've got a calibrated eye like I have, just have a guess. About there's about right. And there you have it, folks. A nice little grid. That's a drip system, which is more than you really need in a garden bed like this, but I thought I'd go this way with this one rather than S-bending it through like I've done in the other garden beds. Yeah, it needs a bit more on the fitting side, but at least I've got a bit more order here and I can use the actual irrigation as a grid for me to be able to plant in. So I could just straighten it up like that and have a look at that. I've got my lines there and I can plant right next to it and the water will drip right next to the plant where it needs to. And we're laughing. Now, if you want to be really pedantic, you can actually measure out the holes so they all start at the same point, exact same point, and then you can plant right next to each hole, 30 centimeters apart, and you've got your perfect irrigation for your vegetables to grow and stay hydrated. And because it's going to be a no-dig garden, I don't have to worry about removing the irrigation itself. I can leave it in place and just top it up as I need to and replant in those lines where I want to. If I get a disease, we'll deal with that when we cross that path. But at the moment, I dare say I'm not going to have anything like that to worry about. And your soil will subside. It will compact because I haven't compacted it. As I hydrate this will start to sink, and that's okay. I don't need to be perfectly to the top height here because it's 400 deep, and our root system from our seedlings barely grow to 30 centimeters, 300 millimeters. So that's about the biggest root ball you're going to get there. So we've got plenty of soil here. As it subsides, each season from there on, we start topping it up with a bit more compost, manure, and mulch. Let's get the mulch now. And just before I put my mulch, I better not forget to put my calcium, my magnesium, my phosphate, my zinc, my boron, my sulfates, my ammoniums, everything I need for this garden bed to thrive. It's all in this one little bucket here, folks. We call it black grit. There we are. Now I'm just going to position these in a row here. Well, look, look how many there are here. There's a half a dozen in there. I don't like them like that, but because that's how they've grown. That's me being silly, getting lazy, can't be bothered separating them. So I'm going to leave them in there like that, but I'm going to place them about 15 centimeters apart. Let me find where my irrigation in the middle is. There it is. There's my center line approximately. Don't judge me because I'm not using a tape measure. So they're all going to go there, 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 and you can go a lot closer if you like. I might have to. And this is the best way to grow your seedlings because you get a big, strong, healthy root. Imagine if I presented like that every day, eh? Drive you mad. Let's just focus on gardening here. Keep it real. There we are, about 15, 20 centimeters apart. I might shove in some more afterwards in between because I've got so many here. Now I'm going to do an extra row in between my irrigation, if I can find it. This is the trick about it all. There's a second line there, right? So that like that. And if I want to, I can put one in between. So the zigzagging, see that? It goes like that. So that's what's going to happen when I finish with this. You want to put that camera down and give me a hand here? Come on. I said now, come on, give me a hand. Hey folks, it's finished. We've got our beautiful seedlings in place. We've got our spring onions. We've got our bok choy here. Now I've got about 100 spring onions, bunches that is, and about 30 bok choy or pak choy. And I'm going to irrigate them now with my EcoBoost and Liquid Gold and give them a good fertilise, and that's what they need. But I also want to mention to you that this has cost me, as far as materials are concerned, about $300 for this garden bed. Now I've got 130 plants here. If I put them at $2.50 in one season, I've recouped my money back basically if you've grown them from seed. So after a couple of seasons of vegetable growing, you guarantee yourself an opportunity to be able to recoup your money. And the best part is that you've grown it yourself. It's clean, it's organic, it's natural, and Jack is barking in the background. That's okay. That's what dogs do. So EcoBoost and Liquid Gold. Don't forget folks, if you're watching this now at 7:30 in the morning, tune into 3AW because we're doing live talkback gardening segments, and ask me whatever questions you have. I'm there to help you solve all your gardening problems as best I can. And if you're looking for some great products, go to our website, vasilisgarden.com, because it is a double deal weekend. Buy one, get one free on certain products. Everything you need to make a healthy garden grow beautifully. From me, Vasili, Maresi. Even the parsley's got a new home. Have a look at that in their own grow pots. Beautiful.